because everything what happened in the past in Jamaica was the reflection of what happened the next day in Europe. Buju is asking for crazy money, and since he went out of prison, he just wants to do big stadiums or big arenas in the US. And Burns Hammond, same. Burns Hammond can put, let's say, 600, in between 600 to 1,000 people in a venue.
Boom, Davin and Tonil back again with the number one Jamaican podcast in Murcia, Spain.
The number one Jamaican podcast in Europe.
And we're going for the world. And today we have a new guest on the podcast, someone that has essentially been playing an integral role in the reggae music scene in Europe, in Spain, and essentially globally. Once you try to push reggae music anywhere, you are a fan of the music, you are doing some good in it. And we have a reggae promoter, mostly in Barcelona, Julian Francisco Garcia Mancebo, if I pronounce your name
Yeah, that's
correctly.
perfectly.
This was prompted by a recent article that we saw, the Jamaica Observer putting out. It says, "Is reggae music almost dead?" And they reached out to Julian, and Julian's response to this, and I quote, "It is a fact that reggae music is almost dead in terms of audiences, because the new generations do not show even the slightest interest in the genre." Mancebo said he believes that the under 25 demographic in Europe show little interest in reggae, as they believe the genre is old and cannot excite younger audiences. The young people of the internet era no longer appreciate the music quality, nor the musicians developing their virtuosity, nor the spiritual content of the lyrics, nor the revolutionary spirit. He went on to state. So, hearing this, as a Jamaican living in Europe, living in Spain, it actually made me a bit scared, alarmed, because, reggae music is, I would say, if Jamaica had different organs, reggae music would probably be the heart of the culture. In my opinion, it is a integral part of what makes Jamaica Jamaica and what people know Jamaica for. Okay, Julian. So my first question before I even get into it is, could you tell us a bit about your background and what made you feel comfortable, expressing this thought process?
I mean, first of all, it's not my intention to create no controversy, but this is something that I've been saying for too long, maybe in the last 10, 15 years. And it looks like everyone was looking to a different look like me.
Mm-hmm.
But now, the numbers in terms of audiences attending shows in Europe, not just in Spain, maybe Spain is a very small market in comparison with France or Germany or Netherlands, right? But what is true that talking with other promoters in Europe, it's true that the audiences have decreased. Alarm, it's a big alarm, right?
Okay.
And I don't know who to blame, but I think my opinion is that is the origin of this process is Jamaica, definitely. Because everything what happened in the past in Jamaica was the reflection of what happened the next day in Europe. And the truth is that nothing, let's say not nothing, but little is happening in Jamaica in terms of reggae.
Okay.
Just tell me an artist that has had 3, 4, 5 hits in the last 3, 4 years in Jamaica. Just tell me one. None.
Very hard to name.
How do you define a hit song, a reggae hit song, though?
I mean, I define a hit song like a song that after 30, 40, 50 years, you're still listening to it or singing it.
Okay, so a timeless classic.
Yes. Let's say Pas de tout champagne from Frankie Paul.
Mm.
Let's say Greetings from Half Pint.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say One Love for Bob Marley. Let's say Legalize It for Peter Tosh. Let's say, I don't know, Messenger from Luciano.
Always playing. But before
Wait, before you go ahead,
what bro?
David. Um,
Sorry?
so when you say, so you mean a hit song is not necessarily a song that goes well, for business, but a song that rings out in the heart of the people. A song
That's
that is
right.
all that is always present. When you go to the parties, you might hear this song. People might
That's
be
right.
playing
And
this song,
then from back in the days, that song or those songs help the artist to come to Europe and do big tours.
Okay.
Yes.
How long
Yeah.
have you been in the? How long have you been a fan of reggae music, and how long have you been in the business of reggae music?
I mean, a fan of reggae music since the middle 80s.
Okay.
And then I started promoting dances and parties, reggae parties. I started in 1991.
Wow.
And after that, it was 1997 when I did my first live show. Since
Okay.
then, it's nearly 28 years doing live shows in Spain and Europe.
And was there any group that brought your attention to reggae music in the 80s, since you started listening to it in the 80s?
I mean, obviously, I started through Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that my very first album was the live album of Bob Marley in 1975 at Lyceum.
Ah.
Okay.
And then, after that, I started with Peter Tosh, which is my favorite artist. And then Jimmy Cliff. And then, I started discovering because, back in the days, Spain never had reggae distribution. So most of the, 95% of the albums that came here, that came late, were all imported albums.
Okay.
So back in the days, there was no internet, no information, nothing. You have to discover reggae music through the sleeves of the albums, and and try and just like a lottery. You bought an album and play it, and then you discover things.
Okay.
And
And who were some?
do you remember any of the names of the distributors from back in those times?
I mean, right? Yes. I mean, in Spain, there was a label called Ariola.
Ariola.
Ariola was the one who was distributing Island Records. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the Bob Marley albums were all of them were distributed through Ariola, and then they also not all of them, but they published some like one Ijaman album, the Haile Hymn, and they distributed some of the Island records that were distributed. And then there was an old back in the days label called Edixa, who was from Barcelona, and they published maybe a couple of three Greensleeve albums, like the Doctor Alimentado, the best dressed chicken in town,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and that's it. That's what we had back in the days.
Okay. So what made you decide to go into the business of reggae music, and who are some of the main acts that you've brought to Europe?
I mean, going to the business was it was accidentally, because I've been working for 37 years now in a bank, still working, and reggae was a hobby, a passion that then I don't know how it became professional. It
Okay.
was I started to do one show a year, two shows a year, and then there was a year that I did 52 shows in a year.
52. When
Yeah,
was
Wow.
it
this?
was my record. Yes.
When was this, and who were some of the artists that you brought?
Well, it was when the golden era, like beginning of the 2000s, or mid 2000s.
Okay.
And at that time, Gregory Isaacs, Anthony B, Capleton, Buju Banton, it was
Yeah.
there
Is it
was like 3, 4, 5 tours at the same time in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Has it been profitable for you? Would you say that, or has it been on the decline in terms of profit?
No, 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 not really, because I still were having my job,
Mhm.
And no, there were some people who tried to live by reggae music in Spain, and they failed.
Okay.
So
I
you
don't want
don't.
to. I don't want to say that I was more intelligent or have a global vision, but you'll never. There's not. We are the kind of a market, small market, but not to promote reggae and live by a promotions reggae company.
So it was more for the love of the music and to see the music shine.
Yes, I mean, I'm not saying that I never earn money, but people always say when you do a sold out in a venue, they say, "Wow, this guy is rich. They did the big money," but then they never saw how many times you crash.
Oh, okay.
True.
What's the biggest venue that you've sold out, and for which artist?
Oh, I mean, if it's in terms of promotion, home promotion was, I don't know, maybe Burning Spear,
Wow.
2001. We put nearly 2,000 people, which was a big success.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any reggae artists now that you could bring to Europe that you say could draw a crowd of 2,000?
No, no,
No,
None.
impossible. None of them.
as a not even the older
I
one.
mean, no. Maybe we could say maybe Damian Marley, but I mean, being realistic is far from being reggae audience.
Okay.
Ah, yes. I know what you mean. I'm to mean.
Okay, Damian could bring 2,000 people, but first of all, it's not economically affordable because he has too much money.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And secondary, the people attending that show, maybe let's say 20% are reggae people. The rest are people who know them, who know him by the pop market.
Okay.
Mm. I actually like how you use that to judge the shows, to separate the real reggae fans from people who might just see the party on a poster and say, "Hey, I recognize this name, and let me go."
Yes, I mean, is you name Rototom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Rototom audiences, let's say that I can say that 70% of people attending Rototom, they don't know who's on stage.
Mm.
They go because the party, summer vibes, it's like a reggae Disneyland.
The culture, the cult of reggae
The
there.
cult, but not because of the love of reggae.
Yeah.
Because if this was true, or if it happened, then the rest of the year they will be attending shows,
Fair.
or even you could promote shows in Valencia, which is the nearest city.
Mm-hmm.
And when you promote a show in Valencia, you can expect 100 people, no more.
No, but I went to we went to a Queen Omega show in Valencia
Yes,
last year around this time, and I would say the capacity was probably 1,500 to 1,500 people.
for Queen Omega.
Yeah, in Valencia.
Mm-hmm.
And she also did Barcelona, which I think would probably be a bigger audience, and in Madrid too.
No. In Barcelona, I can tell you he did 100 and something tickets.
For Queen Omega.
Yes,
Only 100 and something tickets.
yes. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying. I am very surprised because when I brought them Cocody, there was 300 people. When I brought them, I don't know. There was big artists performing there, and
Right.
Valencia has never had there was like a small reggae group, a small reggae, cult, but not in terms of audiences.
Okay. Who's the most recent artist that you brought, and what was that like?
I mean, it was last May the 8th and the 9th this month.
Yeah.
We did Ijaman Levi and Culture with Kenyatta Hill.
How was that?
Bad, but the reason in Barcelona mainly, Barcelona, we were selling tickets. We could expect like 500 people, but 20 days before the show, Rotterdam announced the same show.
with the lineups,
Oh.
on the lineup. So the sales stop.
because everyone has a Rototom ticket.
That's right.
What do you take into consideration when booking an artist, a reggae artist?
I mean, first of all, I don't want to lose money.
Fair.
That's it.
That's it.
You
Like
know,
you have to make a
that's
profit.
it. That's it.
Business has to
Nowadays,
be.
I cannot expect to earn uh, 3, 4, 5,000 in one night. It's impossible right now. You know. So the first thing is I don't want to lose money, and I just want to have a good show, and entertain the people. Try to keep alive the flame,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Okay.
Well,
And
I must tell you that I'm really tired. Because I'm getting old, and I see nobody is coming behind me to take the torch. So that's a problem.
and was there any time that you decided that you would like basically take an artist under your wing, like take them, promote them in various shows, even though it's not making you a lot of money, or you might see a future in this
No,
artist?
it's not my it's not has never been my
Hmm.
part of the business. It is true that I concentrate a lot in but not promote them. But I work a lot from 10 years now with the original Wailers and Al Anderson.
Hmm.
Okay, so I started to work with them in 2014, and I can say that we've been everywhere. We've done at least more, maybe 100 shows.
Okay.
And we even is the only artist I built a European tour with them. We did it in 2019 and 2023.
Can you walk me through your process of finding an artist, putting on a show to its execution, so I can basically see how you do it as well? Because you said there's no one that you feel is coming up that is going to replace you when you decide to retire or decide to move to Jamaica, where you can get the music much easier. How do you conceptualize it from start to end?
I mean, normally, we are a net in Europe, right? And there were in the past there were like maybe 6, 7, 8 agencies that they used to build a tour. So I was the Spanish reference for that tour, and they call me and they say, "Okay, Julian, we want to build for in 6 months a tour. Let's say I don't know. I remember with Cocotee 10 years ago. It was Cocotee and Irish Soldier. I put Irish Soldier on the lineup because it was starting. And okay, so from then when they communicate this, I try to look around, and I look for festivals mainly. Festivals who can support economically, and then adding dates around. So, for example, at that time, I looked there was a big festival in Sevilla called the Territorios Festival. So I booked that act in Sevilla, and then we had Madrid, we had Bilbao, we have Valencia, and we had Barcelona. So I took control of everything happening in Spain, and then they go back to France, and then the next promoter in France look for shows in France, then Germany, Netherlands. So that's how it works.
Okay. What do you think you could be doing better in terms of a promoter? Is there any ways that you feel like you could improve it to get more ticket sales, more turnout, or
I mean, it's not my duty because I have enough promoting a show and risking and trying to announce the show, but there's other parts of the work that is not my duty, but someone has to uh, mm, promote or make this artist play on the radios and make this artist be known. So I cannot do everything. I'm just the promoter. Then has to be an agent, has to be a manager, has to be a guy who works on the publicity and the media. And that's the thing, that nothing, back in the days I have a very close friend of mine who used to work with Sisla. It's Breadback, right? And
Wow.
after these articles on the Observer, he says something which is true. That is that the teams have disappeared. Back in the days, an artist have a team.
Okay. So the more independent reggae artists, they're causing the entire industry to suffer.
I mean, let's say that the artists became, back in the days, they bring their own musicians, they bring their manager, they bring the guy in charge of the public relations and the media. But the artists, most of them became greedy, and they say, okay, I can go alone to Europe and look for a band in Europe, and I can get three times the money I got, and abandon my team, do it by myself with just a manager, and try to do the same. But they cannot do the same because it's not, there's big musicians, good musicians in Europe, but I can say that a Jamaican reggae musician is much better than a European reggae musician, of course.
Is this a consequence of them not being paid enough though? Because I think we spoke to other artists as well, and one of the key factors is maintaining a band in Jamaica and maintaining them on tour is different. And compared to, let's say, going to tour in America or Australia or those places, Europe pays the least. So then they have to put into consideration, if you're taking a team of 10 and you're getting paid less than you would in America, and you still have to compensate them for their time, how does that turn around for them?
Yeah, but the thing is that if you may grow your business in Jamaica,
Mhm.
and you're getting big success and you're expanding your business, you can maintain this team. But if you stop recording, you stop doing hits, if you stop doing the same and you try to live by the old days, the business is not going to grow. It's going to, stand. And obviously you cannot pay your team, and you want to get the same money. And most of the artists increase madly this money they're asking for.
Okay. What's the average cost to book a solid reggae? Don't tell me anyone's personal price, just the average cost that it would take to bring a good reggae artist here. Well,
I mean, if you promote a show in a weekday, let's say, we used to do for many years. We used to do reggae shows in Barcelona on Wednesdays.
okay.
There was a tradition to do Wednesdays.
On a Wednesday.
Yes,
What a
there was
day
a
to do a show.
yeah,
Coffee
but it
Monday
was
and
there was a music cycle in Apollo, or the venue we used in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And people got this tradition for years that reggae was on Wednesdays.
Reggae night. That
Reggae
sounds like a
Yeah,
good
Wednesdays.
price.
and people came. The people came to the shows. So let's say that for a Wednesday show, we can pay in between, depending on the artist or the pack, because normally it's two artists. You can pay in between, let's say, in between 5 to 10,000, just fee. Then you have to add the venue cost, the hotels, the internal transports, the per diems, the parking,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
the whole production cost. So at the end of the day, you go into you're risking in between 10 to 17,000 euros.
Okay.
For an average artist.
Yes, for let's say Jamaican artists. I'm not saying Siggy Marley, or I'm not saying
Yeah.
you know
An average
Just
artist.
yeah. So one thing you just mentioned something for me which I find kind of different as a Jamaican. Like there's certain reggae artists that I listen to that
Mhm.
I don't really care if they make a new song. I don't care. I want to if I go to see them, I don't want to hear their new music. If I go see Barry Salmon, Buju Band, I don't really like
Yeah,
the new
yeah.
music is good, but you're saying that
Me
them,
too.
them banking off the old songs doesn't create new fans. So they need
Yeah,
to but they are making music though.
yeah. But that, I mean, you went too straight to the big names, right?
Okay. All right.
I mean, but the thing you name Buju Banter, or let's say Buju Banter and Burst Hammond, you name
Yeah.
it. Okay, Buju is asking for crazy money And since he went out of prison, he just want to do big stadiums or big arenas in the US. But he just came for one show. The first show was in Summer Jam in Germany, and he got paid 100,000 euros. 150,000 euros. It's crazy money. So the thing is that Buju Banton, he doesn't want to tour anymore in Europe.
Because the
He
money
doesn't
isn't
want
there.
he doesn't want to tour because he pretends to get paid, 20,000 per night, and it's impossible in Europe. And Burns Hammond, same. He wants to come to Europe. He wants to come with 19 people touring, and he's asking for crazy fees. Burns Hammond can put, let's say, 600 in between 600 to 1,000 people in a venue. So how much you have to charge per ticket to get what he wants to, what he expect to be paid?
So
So
Berries
But
can pull five
I think
thousand people.
not more in Europe.
I
Just in England, he has a
yeah,
huge
I
fan
was
base
about
in
to get there.
England, but not in Europe. And they don't want to adapt at the Europe reality. So they prefer not to tour.
So I have a question. You just said, I think you just separated England from Europe just now.
Yes.
What's the difference in terms of the reggae scene?
I mean, England has been the motherland of Jamaica. England has right now there must be the sixth or seventh generation of Jamaicans, thousands of Jamaicans, and
Yeah,
that's not happening in Europe.
true.
Okay, so you basically put England as the top holders.
I mean, they were back in the days, but not now, because young people, young Jamaican heritage people, they consider reggae music the grandpa's music.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
listen to reggae, but they don't love reggae like one
No,
time.
I mean, I went when Burning Spear came back on 2022.
Yeah.
I went to Birmingham and the next day to London to attend the shows. And the mid average of the people attending the show was in between 45 to 60 years old. No youth was, and there was 3,000 people in Birmingham and nearly 4,000 in London. And there was no youth in the audience.
How can we change that?
How can you change that? But starting in Jamaica, I've always said
The
that
ripple effect.
reggae music or Jamaican culture has to be an obligatory subject in schools.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, it's a shame that I go to Jamaica. Let me tell you something. I was in Jamaica just reading Sugar Minor biography, right? And I was on the beach, and a young waiter came here just to ask if I wanted some. See, I want to drink some. And this guy was between 15, 16 years old, and he asked me, "Oh, this guy was famous at your country?"
Hey.
And I say, "No, he was famous at your country." So, the young people, they don't know who's Gregory Isaacs. They don't know who's Sugar Minor. They don't know who's Frank Paul. That's a big problem.
It's not passing up. Is it more that dancehall has eclipsed reggae to the point of it almost making reggae go extinct slowly?
We have to separate, okay? Let's say reggae music was ska, it was rocksteady, it was reggae, it was dancehall. And if you refer of the music of today, you can refer this to dancehall or trap dancehall or garbage dancehall or
Okay.
trash dancehall. And the music in terms, not the lyrics or not the artist, but the music of today that the youngs are listening in Jamaica is not Jamaican music. It's American music.
With the reggae and the dancehall.
I mean, there's no the reggae was the heartbeat. Even in the dancehall of the 90s, you can hear the heartbeat. When with Red Brad, with Degree, with Goofy, with all those guys, But the music of today in Jamaica is nothing. There's nothing Jamaican in it. It's American music with Jamaican lyrics.
So you're saying the lack of authenticity is
Yes,
actually crippling the music, the growth of the music.
of course. And just on the radio, you go to Jamaica and any dance, any party at night, you
Yeah,
cannot listen to reggae anymore. It's too difficult, except if you go to this the dog club, or you go
yeah.
to Waki Wiki, or those specifically, but the normal regular parties on the street, no reggae at all.
After 10 o'clock, no reggae.
No reggae.
Ah,
Yeah.
So how can the artists be promoted if they are not played in Jamaica?
okay. So is there any hope for reggae music for a revival?
I said that reggae music will never die. I'm sure that on the 24th century, people will still listen to reggae as we listen today to Beethoven or Wagner. But in terms of shows, there's a lack of audience, and we're going into I say we're trying. Let's say I'm not sure that it's going to disappear, but maybe you can go once a year to a festival and that's it.
One big festival.
One big festival, and I tell you, the people attending the festival, maybe it's 20% reggae fans. The rest are just there because they have to be there because it's fashionable, because of the vibes, and because it's a party, and because everybody's there. So my cousin, my neighbor went there, so I have to be there, but
Okay.
not because of the music.
And you think this does damage to the music? Even though they are what we call like, they are indirect supporters of reggae music,
No,
either way.
they're not supporting reggae music. No, no way.
You wouldn't even say indirectly by going to some of these reggae festivals out of
No, because
style.
the thing is that those big festivals, if they were supporting reggae music, they need to continue the whole year doing things and promoting things, and they just concentrate and do their business in the summer, and that's it.
And then they shut down. But I get what you're saying, but I have to disagree a bit.
Mm.
If I create a festival and 20% of the people there are true reggae fans and
Yes,
80% aren't, I know of that 80% that comes, we might create a few reggae fans from that 80%. Because
I have to
every
disagree
everyone
because
has their eureka moment. They listen one band, and this one is the one. Oh my god, I love this performance. Let me go listen to his music outside of this festival, and then oh shoot, I like the music now. You get what I'm saying?
in a perfect world that could be good, but Rototom is here for 15 years now,
Yeah.
and still never happened that.
Speaking of Rotterdam, how do you feel about Rotterdam? What is your take on Rotterdam as a reggae festival for Spain?
Uh, it's an uncomfortable question because I don't want to talk about them.
It,
Because yes, I prefer not to talk about them because they did a lot of
Okay.
damage, right? And I have there's a dark side of the story, because they came here asking me for help,
mhm.
but they want to do it for free. And I said I never asked them for money, never,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but not doing it for free because if it's this is the pie, which I just ask what is my piece,
which is fair compensation for your expertise, but
and for my
not,
work because
yeah,
I have to invest a lot of money. I have family
and time.
Yeah.
and time.
But keeping silent, I don't think will help the situation. Like for me, like we went to Rotterdam, we had like some press passes, and to be honest, I enjoyed the show, but we didn't see what happens in the background, and that's my goal. I want to see what goes on into bringing my fellow countryman here to perform, and for a fest, no one continues to keeps a festival that's not profitable. They wouldn't, So I
I
want
mean,
to.
it's quite profitable some, I'm not sure, but some say that they own their private island.
They do. The owners.
I mean, there's some people that are saying that, and I can't believe them.
Well, well.
All right.
And I know that, that I remember that they did an offer to Yellow Man,
Mm-hmm.
and they want him to pay 3,500 euros, and he has to cover his own flights with that money.
What?
Mm-hmm.
To King Yellow Man?
The king of
Yes.
dancehall.
Okay. Brings me to my
So,
next
but
question.
I mean,
What do you think? Have you seen? What do you think of their lineup for this year, 30th anniversary?
it's a good line. I mean, Burning Spear, the third consecutive time coming, and then Cimarrons, they come again,
Mm-hmm.
and what's his Alpha? Is Alpha Blonde in there?
I didn't see
I
how
can't
he was
remember.
there last year.
No,
Was
no.
there last year, yeah.
It's Shaggy headlining as well, and Shaggy's more
Uh,
dancehall.
I mean, the thing is that there. No, I would love to have to see Bounty Killer there, or Sizzla, or or what they. It's for a reggae fan. People got bored, and most of the people, the reggae fans that start to go there, and they went there for the first 6-7 years, they don't go in anymore
Yeah.
because it's kind of boring. And the thing is that they put the good bands, or they put it at 8 o'clock in the afternoon when there's 100 people in front of them, which is disrespecting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then they keep, the local bands, which are well known in Spain, and they put it at midnight. Okay, they got a big response, but it's a disrespecting to the reggae music.
I found that weird as well because in Jamaica, the main acts they go on last. They close the
I mean,
Last,
show.
close the
I've been
show.
many times in Jamaican festivals,
Hmm.
and until the morning.
Do you think they do a better job? Like, if you were to compare Reggae Sumfest to the European reggae festivals, what would your compare? How would you analyze it? The differences and stuff.
I mean, Sumfest is also made for tourists,
Mhm.
but I mean, they have the artists there, so they don't have to travel from far, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But Sumfest has much more quality than Europe. But the thing is that Europe has to cover the expenses, and they got the artists that are on tour, and it's quite strange that they bring, if it's not a big, some people try to they brought expressly from for example, Java Ranks. They brought for a one-off to, I think it was on Reggae Gill in Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
or there was the year that Supercat came back, and they brought for just one show, and they paid big crazy money. Or this year it was supposed to be the one only show with Vibes Cartel on Summer Jam,
Yeah,
but after that he announced a lot of shows in Europe.
I thought
But
Rotterdam would have gotten him.
Yeah,
no,
me too.
Rotterdam will never book. They will never book Cartel.
Why not?
Because they're not into the Jamaican culture. They're into the false peace and love, uh, history, and it's quite false.
That when I speak to someone from Rotterdam, that is one thing that they don't have any young dancehall artists on the festival. They
No,
don't have any really young reggae artists on the festival. Like, I have no problems with someone basically, a older generation person performing and stuff, but there needs a balance. There needs to be
and what about the old ones? The veterans.
there.
What about Al Campbell, Little John,
Yeah.
Winston Francis?
Yeah,
Those guys are still singing good,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody care about them.
but that's the thing. They need to they need to create a balance
And it's
between
quite easy to bring them because I did it.
yeah,
You know, I did it, and I tried to take care of them,
yeah,
to the old guys, the veteran guys. Me and some friends, we brought. It was 2 years ago. Stranger Cole. It was his first time in Spain,
Stranger
and
Cole. Wow.
he's 80.
Yeah.
wow. And
Wow.
that's the thing. A reggae artist can perform until they're 100. I see that. Who was the guy I sent you the other day, Tony, that had the crutches on stage, still performing?
Let me again. I don't remember the name of the artist now, but yeah.
A reggae artist on his crutches,
Mm-hmm.
his walking stick on the stage, still chanting the revolutionary music.
And let's say, what about the old dance artists like Major Mackerel
Yeah.
or those guys? You know,
But
Mm-hmm.
that's, you know what's funny? You're saying that these guys don't get a shot in Europe, but I actually think they get more of an opportunity outside of Jamaica than in Jamaica.
well, I mean, I'm just those nights, those Thursday nights, and I'm watching on YouTube, and they did little performances there,
Yeah,
but nothing out of Jamaica.
Mm.
true. That's the next thing. How do you feel about the reggae artists that originate outside of Jamaica? The ones that originate from Germany, Italy, the United States?
Okay, my opinion, there's some artists that make reggae music grow, like Gentleman, Alba Rosie, and let's say, this we have our own artist in Spain, near Barcelona, Irish Soldier, who's living in Jamaica, right? These people are integrated into Jamaican culture. They went to Jamaica, they record in Jamaica, they collaborate with Jamaicans, and they make reggae big, 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 big in Europe. Then from other side, there's some other bands that they sing reggae, they perform maybe in Spanish, but they use reggae, and they do like a cultural appropriation. They have their own audiences. They're doing big, even in Latin America. But those audiences attending their shows, they know, that they're a reggae band, but in fact they don't know who's Peter Tosh, for example.
Okay,
So these people are not making reggae big. They're using reggae for their own interest.
okay,
So that's how I make difference in artists coming out of Jamaica.
okay.
Thank you, Father. You sound very sincere when it comes down to the music.
Sorry?
You sound very sincere. You sound like you
Yeah, I
really
mean,
have the, the,
it's
the,
my
the, the
it's
best
my
heart.
character. I'm sorry
Yeah.
if sometimes I hurt someone, but truth hurts.
No, you
True.
have to
Yeah.
speak your truth, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
best thing. We're getting your opinion.
Maybe I have not many friends, but I try to tell the truth, and there was some people who get mad after these articles in the Observer,
Yeah.
and some artists who got mad, but that's the truth.
I don't think someone should get mad for you. You have experience in it, so you have credibility in the industry. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this
Yeah, but
conversation right now.
even I can show them examples in Jamaica. You know, you remember I was first time I attended Rebel Salute.
Yeah.
It was in Saint Elizabeth. The first, it was 2007, I think. First time I was invited
Nice.
by
Yeah.
Tony Rebel himself, and the crowd, let's say, it was 15,000 people there. It was a massive crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Then my last time at Rebel Salute was 2019, and it was up in Saint Anne's in Jamaica.
The plantation.
Yeah, at Plantation Cove. And let's say there will be like 5,000 people,
Yeah.
no more.
Is it that people just stop going out to events
It's
at
because the
all?
young people stopped going to reggae shows because the whole audience was, not say all people, but my age people.
Mm.
And it was like 6 years ago.
Yeah. So
And now Rebel wants to expand the Rebel Salute. This year he is going to Miramar in Florida, and he's going out of Jamaica. He wants to expand the Rebel Salute out of Jamaica because there's no enough business in Jamaica. That's a problem.
okay. Just to backtrack a bit. How do we get the young people? How do we create new reggae fans? How do we do that?
Starting at school.
Other than you said teaching it in school, but I'm not a mathematician. I learned
No, yeah, I
equations
mean,
in school. You
when
know,
I was in school, there was a subject was music,
I,
and
I,
you choose and you listen to songs. And my teacher used to play the Beatles or play the Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
or play Spanish music. So I'm gonna be 56 this year, but my first turntable I was 2 years old.
Fair enough. What
Okay,
can you, what?
and when you're a young guy, when you're a child, is the perfect time to teach about music. And especially in Jamaica, you have to be proud of your culture. And let's be clear. Apart from tourism, the whole world knows Jamaica because of reggae music. And if you don't take care of your national treasure from the beginning, so that's the situation we are today. That a young guy from 16, 17 years old, he has no idea who's Peter Tosh.
Yeah. Is this because reggae music is attached to the Rastafarian religion and it's not as
Not,
predominant as it used to be, and the revolutionary message?
I'm not sure about that because, people love Beres Hammond and he's not a Rastafarian.
True.
And he's not talking about revolution. He's talking about love.
Love
And
without
Vibes.
just because we name it, before.
yeah.
But there's Rastafarians and there's lovers rock and there's, a lot of styles. And even in England, they create their own reggae styles. And there was the lovers rock and the reality is that the youngs of today, they consider reggae music grandpa's and grandma's music. Oh, that's the music my grandpa used to listen to.
Yeah.
So you do a Jamaican artist, let's say, for example, I don't know, Lutan Fyah and Jamaican, they did a tour on March, and they went to London, and I think it was like 500 people attending the show.
Wow.
This 20 years ago it was 5,000, not 500.
Yeah.
What
And
can
it's
these what can
yes,
these art what can the artists, the established artists, the veterans in the business do better to ensure that the younger generation takes up the mantle after they retire?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What can, for example, what can the older artists, the veterans in the reggae music
Yes.
industry do to encourage more youths to take up reggae music? For example, in the dancehall segment, you see, just for lack of a better example, Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, Vibes
Mhm.
Cartel. Every day, someone says, I want to grow up and be like them. I want to be the
Mhm.
next Vibes Cartel, the next Beanie Man, the next Bounty Killer. We don't have anyone really in Jamaica saying, oh, I want to be the next Beres.
I
Maybe
mean, yeah, because maybe Beres was before than those artists.
no, or
Let's say, I mean,
protege. They don't want to be the next protege. They don't want to be the next Damian Marley. If we need to get them in the
I mean,
same.
Demian is not really.
Right.
How can I say this? It's not really a Jamaican act. Damian is a part of Marley's mafia. That
Okay.
they don't need promotion. They just have a big surname and a big support.
Big pull.
And Protege, I can say, it's not really reggae.
Yeah.
It's not
Uh,
fully reggae. It's not fully
no,
reggae.
it's not fully reggae.
He doesn't even call
And
himself a reggae
let's
artist.
say Kawaka Pyramid
Yeah.
is not. Let's say it's let's say 90% of reggae, but
Yeah.
but Kawaka is doing his own thing, and he's not. Maybe I don't know. He's not trying to promote the youths in Jamaica as before, and it's not maybe the artist's duty to do that, because there's a lot of people who are not participating in becoming this. Maybe there's also a lack of producers, because back in the days, the producers are the one they record the artist, and his duty was to uplift the artist, uplift his music, and get money from this music.
Okay.
But how many producers, big producers, today in Jamaica? Donovan Germain stopped producing many, many years ago.
Mhm.
The only one is Bolby. He produced something every 6 months,
Mhm.
but most of them died. Bobby Digital passed,
Yeah.
Fatties from Exterminator Past, and there's no real reggae producers in Jamaica.
But what do you
Yeah.
know of? Do you know of Winter James?
Yes.
Wouldn't you say he's one of the frontline in reggae producers at the moment?
Yeah, but it's not just one producer. The thing is that there's a lack of producers
Yeah.
that are the ones to have to help this keep the fire lighting,
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that there's some pieces. This is like a puzzle, and we are missed. There's a lot of pieces that are missed in keeping this thing alive. And these pieces are the foundation of the music.
Okay.
And also, I'm sure that there must be big talents in Jamaica doing reggae, but they don't have the exposure. They don't have the radio support. They don't have a team behind them trying to make them big and to be well known in Europe and in America.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, that this process stopped some years ago.
I think the process of the producers, being involved with the music, it really affects the music a lot. Because as you said, the
Yes.
promoter is the producer is one who records the music and then promotes the music and might even do a show. And I think back in those times, you would have producers who would look second for the profit and look for the betterment of the artist and the industry itself. So you might see
Yes.
them taking an artist under their wing, keep on recording them until one day them boss.
And as I said, they create teams,
Yeah, and
There
they
was,
create teams that way.
the Jammies team, the Exterminator team,
Yeah,
the Black Scorpio team,
the digital
Bobby
yeah.
Digital team. And there was a lot of artists around them and recording and creating, and they was reflected everything what happens in Jamaica. There was a 1 month after there was a reflection in Europe.
Yes.
And there was an artist recording an album, and in the next 6 months he was in Europe promoting a tour.
Yeah.
But it's not happening anymore.
Do you think they should be doing something on social media as well to promote the industry more?
No, I think as I said, that for me the origin of the lack of the reggae music is going to the base, to the foundation, starting from producing, creating new talents, and promoting them. Then you use the social media for the upliftment of the artist and trying to spread the music, because the social media is a tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. It's a tool.
Yeah. It's a tough conundrum because a producer right now, Tony will say, profit motive, dancehall reap quicker profit rewards.
Yes, I mean, it's what we say in Spain is bread for today, hunger for tomorrow.
Yeah. And you have enough reggae artists that can't even retire in the way they should retire as well.
Mm-hmm. And there's some other big artists that they prefer to do 4 shows a year and get the same money, and they don't want to tour anymore.
Yeah.
Some of them because of age, I would say.
No, not the age, because Buju is Buju an old guy?
No.
No.
And sometimes I think it's the price that they put on themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot
they
charge.
Price themselves very high. Yeah.
You cannot ask 50,000 per venue. That's crazy. You're not Beyonce. You're not Jennifer Lopez.
But they're getting that in America.
Yes, but how many shows they do in America? Buju did a big arena in New York. Then he went to do a tour in the rest of America. He has to cancel some of the shows because there was not selling tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he failed.
Buju, yeah.
It's too greedy.
So you think that they're pricing, some of them are pricing themselves out of the market as well?
They're overpricing, definitely. Yeah. They're not investing in themselves,
So you're saying that stop looking at the tours as a means of only profit, but a means of spreading the music that will generate future profit, and they don't want
That's
to do
it. That's it. This is one of the things that is happening, They prefer they go to get money, and they They left a lot of people behind them. They're trying to help them, and they prefer to get big money today, but then no tour in 5 years.
Okay. Has anyone ever proposed revenue sharing? For example, you're promoting a show. Instead of paying him a fee, you pay him a percentage of the
They
money.
don't want to do it.
So they don't trust
I
themselves?
No, I mean, it was me that sometimes I offer them that, Okay, let's say I do the productions. I just got paid the 10% of the incomes,
Yeah.
and the rest is for you. But they don't want to. They don't want to do it.
Because they don't back themselves to be able to
I
put
mean,
all.
if you don't trust in yourself, how can the people trust in the artist?
Yeah. Because I don't know if this example is true. Like the Taylor Swift. That's a random example. Don't kill me because I bring it in her in it. Her shows, I think they're self funded or something like that. And maybe this is a bad example, but I think they're self funded and she backs herself to pull these people. Obviously, she knows she's going to do it, so there's less risk. So
Yes.
it's also hard for a Jamaican artist to come to Europe and risk it, especially if he brings a band with him. So I
Yeah,
kind of see
but
what they're saying.
let's say there must be a balance, right?
Yeah.
Let's say an artist that he's coming in him alone with two backing vocals and his manager, 4 people. That's it. The band is from Europe, and the band even can go into that deal. And this in that kind of deal is not for the whole tour. Maybe it's for 2 or 3 or 4 shows.
Okay.
And let's say in cities that maybe there's no big tradition of reggae. So that's the way to open some cities to the market.
Ah.
But they don't help in
Yeah.
that way,
I get what you're saying because I can see it happening. For example, you have let's use Spain, Barcelona, Madrid, Valencia, maybe Malaga because it has a lot of expats there as well from the UK.
Yes, I've done a lot of shows, but let's say, are you living in Murcia?
Yeah, or even in Murcia where we're from, they
I've never done a reggae show in Murcia. Never in my life.
we can fix that. We talk off here.
Okay, sure, sure.
All
It
right.
works. It works.
Yeah, we can fix that. So all these cities, if they did all these big cities and they get a good show out, then when they go to a smaller town, let's say like in Aachen or one of those places that no one really knows of, but you know, artists is coming into town, they get 200 and 250 people spreading the music. They'll take a loss on that venue, but then they will make a profit on another one. They don't do tours like that because, for example, it's like you have to keep working, keep promoting, not just feel like I'm here right now. I have my fan base. They will come see me, but they're not developing, growing
I
the fan
mean,
base.
the artist is not into that. They don't care about. They don't give a shit about that. It's sometimes the agency who's building the tour,
Yeah.
they prefer, for example, if they want to go to Lisbon in Portugal and on the routing, but sometimes they accept a half price show in Madrid to make it happen. But it's the agency who do that, not the artist.
Yeah, but I just feel like they should be. For me, I don't know if my perspective is different than yours as well, Toniel. For the music to grow, the artists are the flagship of reggae music,
That's
and
right, but
they need to stop only focus. I understand every man needs to eat, every man has a family to feed, but think about the long term returns of me doing even let's say a half price show in a random place in the middle of nowhere. What can happen from that? I can create a fan base in that town. These people
yeah,
travel to see me next time.
they're not
Because
interested in that.
the,
They never think about that.
Uh,
there's less faith in the music these days.
s- s-
You
so
know,
the
there's
people,
less faith. There's more
the people,
material. You
the
know,
the people creating the music and
The
making money
artists
they
want
don't
to
see it.
they want to get the same they got 15 years ago
or more.
or more. That's it, because cost of living get high, so they want to live by the old days, and it's
Yeah,
not possible.
sure. And even though I'm saying this, I strongly believe a man should be compensated for his craft.
Of course, but
Of course, yeah.
the thing is that everything has to be solved from the foundation. And
Yeah.
if Jamaica doesn't take the control of uplifting again and try to rebuild the reggae industry, not the music industry, the reggae industry,
Yeah.
nothing will happen in the next future.
Yeah. But if the music industry grows, hopefully the reggae grows with it. So
Of course,
maybe this is where we make a call to the government to actually
you know,
do
I mean,
more.
I would love to have a conversation with Babsy Grange.
Yeah, the Minister of Culture.
Minister.
I would love to have a conversation with her
Yeah.
and explain and try ask her why the government of Jamaica is doing nothing to support reggae music. They celebrate Reggae Month, they celebrate this and that, but they don't they don't give a they don't give a fuck about the reggae industry.
The grassroots, the development.
Of course, why there's no union, artist union in Jamaica?
Yeah. Why is the Reggae Awards the Grammy
Yeah,
one the biggest one?
I mean the Grammys is a joke. I mean there's a lot of impact, but that is true that you are living in Spain.
Yeah.
And when the media in Spain is talking about the Grammys, they never refer to the reggae Grammy. The people in Spain, they don't know there's a category of reggae.
It's not even broadcasted live.
No, I mean it's ridiculous. So the Grammys is a mafia from the Marley family. Even Siggy's wife is on the jury. So
Yeah.
so it's a shame that a live album can win a Grammy, and Siggy did.
Yeah. So you feel like
So
the Marleys have a unfair advantage when it comes to the Grammy?
I mean the Marleys are a part of the guilt of the blame of because they took control of reggae in terms of media and in the States, let's say that 70% or 80% of the reggae is Marleys.
Yeah.
Then the sons of Bob Marley, now the grandsons of Bob Marley, and the next 5 years are going to be the grandsons.
Okay. So
But
you
still
want that love
ruling.
to spread outside of the family?
Yes, I mean, and they take control of everything, and they don't permit other artists to make it big in the States.
Or do
Yeah.
you, or
Yeah.
is it, or is there another side of the coin? They're so respected by everybody. Artists themselves would, let them
They
speak.
fear them.
Yeah. Because they have so much respect, they basically fear them
I mean, they fear
when they
them
come
because you
against
can,
them.
the only one who says something is Ika Mouse.
Yes, I remember him. He has a court case with them.
Okay, is the only one who tried to, but most of the Third World, they have an album. The last album was produced by Damien, and Damien create like a circle around him in Jamaica, with Kabaka, with and I think it's they respect, but they have some fear about the control and what the Marley means in Jamaica, in terms of power and money and what they mean in the industry.
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying in
I
terms of
mean,
like
there's
Marleys.
it's for another chapter, another
Yeah.
program,
Yeah, we can talk about the Marleys
because
when it
I
comes
have
to
a
reggae
lot of
music.
information. It's a shame, because even they never support the Wailers, the musicians, and the last one who died, Tyron Taylor, they never support the cost of the burial. They ask for help and they say no. So
Uh,
it's a shame.
I get. Yeah.
But there's a different story.
We can
Different
have that
story for
another
another
time.
day.
We've
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've kept you for an hour. Tony, do you have any final questions? Any
No, I
final
think
remarks?
Julian did a very good job. And to be honest, as I said it before, and I'll say it again. You sound very sincere about the music. You sound like you have the music and the industry at best heart, and it's not only about the
Passion.
business. You want to see
Yeah,
the
man.
business
But
flourish and
it's
be
not
here for
just the
years.
music. Even I can cook Jamaican. I promote cinema. I promote food. I
Nice.
uh,
promote every aspect. Even 2 years ago, we did like a Jamaican kitchen meeting in Hungary.
ooh. You should let
Wow.
us know. We put on our first barbecue the other day, cooking some jerk chicken down in Murcia.
Yeah.
Breaking it to the
Okay, I
family.
have my
Dynamite
jerk
and food.
center
Yeah.
in my veranda. I have my jerk center.
Nice,
and
nice. Have you
I,
have you checked out the restaurants there? I think Juicy Gastro. He makes some good Jamaican food, and
Uh-huh.
he
Where?
can Juicy
Where?
Gastro in Barcelona.
Juicy Gastro. I don't know. I never heard
Oh,
about
I'm
that.
gonna have to send you that one, man. He's like
Yeah, man.
some good food, some good Jamaican
Yeah.
food in probably the best Jamaican food in Barcelona, man. For real. Every time
After
I'm there,
after me, you mean?
well, I haven't tried yours. I've tried theirs. I haven't tried yours, and I've tried his, and his is
Okay. Okay.
spectacular. It's
Next time you
spectacular.
come to Barcelona,
All right.
I can cook some kalaloo with saltfish or ackee
We,
Oh,
saltfish or
no, that
killer.
you could be the real
Kalalu.
food. Hallelujah, man.
some breadfruit, some bami. You know.
Wait,
Yeah, man.
where you get breadfruit from? England or?
Yes, England.
Oh,
You
okay,
know, I
okay.
used to.
We get
I love
Kalalu.
what?
The can
Can,
callaloo.
can,
Can.
can.
Ah,
Not the
wow.
And the
fresh.
breadfruit is canned also, and the ackee is
Mhm.
canned.
Canned breadfruit. No, canned breadfruit sound like a crime.
Breadfruit are
Yeah, but
breadfruit, you know.
well, I
Oh,
mean, sometimes you find in Brixton you find some fresh breadfruit,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
but the problem is bringing to Spain. You know,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
you can
Mm-hmm.
risk it and put it in your suitcase, but if they catch you,
Yeah. It's not as
it's a
easy as it
problem.
used to be when before Brexit, no?
Yeah.
All right. All right, Julian. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insight.
My pleasure.
We'll keep in touch and let's see how things go.
Yardman Podcast, I do one. The Yardman Podcast. Tell you about the Yardman Podcast. The Yardman Podcast. Tell you about the Yardman Podcast. The Yardman Podcast. Tell you about the Yardman Podcast. The Yardman Podcast. Tell you about the Yardman Podcast.
Subscribe now. We out.